Now it's time to hear the stories of Utes in their own words. This is Utes Insider presented by Pepsi. Here's your host, Mike Lageschulte.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's being brought to you today by University of Utah Health. With 16 convenient neighborhood health centers, we have a game plan for your family's health. Visit uvuhealth.org today. It has been a great start to the Utah coaching career for Director of Skiing Fredrik Landstedt. In 3 years, he has led Utah to 2 NCAA championships, the first in 2019, the second one this past year. And back in 2020, the championships were canceled at the midway point due to COVID-19. Utah was in the lead when that happened. Otherwise, had that concluded, we're talking about 3 titles in 3 years for Fredrik's crew. I had a chance to catch up with him during our April virtual huddle we've been hosting with the Alumni Association on YouTube, so we wanted to bring that conversation to you today. Fredrik will talk about Utah's championship run, the people who made it happen, as well as look ahead to the future of the program. Utah Director of Skiing Fredrik Landstedt along in just a moment.
To hear more episodes of this show and other Utah athletics podcasts, search for them on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Now, back to more of Utes Insider presented by Pepsi.
We're excited to be joined by Fredrik Landstedt, the head coach of the Utah skiing program, who led this team to a national championship about 6 weeks ago. And Fredrik, what a great start to your career. I mean, you've been here 3 years. A year ago, the championship's canceled. You've won 2 and 2 when you had a chance to compete. But let's talk about that event last year in 2020. You guys were halfway through the championships, and the NCAA said, we're done. We're shutting it down. Otherwise, it's 3 for 3. Just talk about how maybe that stung a little bit and maybe served as sort of a motivational point and a starting point for the run you had in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great year last year.
Yeah.
We won every meet except for the regional championship, and we came into NCAAs, and we wanted to defend our title. And as you said, we had a great day, first day in Alpine up there in Montana, and we finished the second day in Nordic and had another amazing day. We were in the lead by 32 points, I believe. And
yeah.
We're all getting ready for the next day, which would have been the Alpine again, and then for Saturday, the Nordic. And when we returned home from the Nordic meet back to our cabin, we got the news that it was canceled. And, that was a big letdown, of course, for the team, especially for the seniors.
Right.
And the seniors, they maybe didn't have their best race the first day. They wanted to come back for another competition and really finish it off on the positive note, and of course they were all done, so that was tough for sure.
Yeah, but this group came back in part and won the championship this year. Let's talk about Sydney Palmer-Ledger, native of Park City, won both the women's NCAA titles in Nordic. I mean, it's hard to win 1, let alone 2. What a dominant performance. Just talk about what made her have such a special season for you.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney was amazing all year, really, and to have a freshman coming in, a true freshman from Park City.
Yeah.
We knew she was a very good skier, of course, but to come in as a freshman and do what she did is just amazing. And she had a tough year a little bit too, because she's a junior and she's on the U.S. ski team, and she went over to Finland to compete in the Junior World Championship in early February. And when she and her teammate Novi McCabe, that's also a freshman for the Utes, when they came over there, they found out they'd been exposed by another person on the U.S. team.
Yeah.
So they both had to quarantine for 10 days over in Finland, so they could not compete a single race at the Junior World Championship. All they could do was being out there in the cold training by themselves.
Yeah.
So, when they came back to Utah again after that, they were ready to go. They handled that very well. They could have been a big letdown where they just kind of gave up on the season because that was their big goal. But, they both came back, and Sydney, really came through at NCAAs and had their best 2 races of the year.
Yeah, dominant performance again, won both the women's Nordic titles, but your entire Nordic squad was a dominant group all year. They won every portion of their race throughout the entire season. The women's team captured 5 of the 6 podium spots in NCAAs. That's another feat that's hard to do. And also, in addition to Sydney Palmer-Ledger, Julia Richter was the national champion in Nordic back in 2019. She was in that group as well. The men's team had 3 in the top 10 of the 10K Classic events. So really, again, Nordic, a dominant group that was a big part of your championship run. Just talk about that group of people and their season and how they were so successful.
Yeah, that was an amazing group, and we didn't only have the athletes that actually went to NCAAs, because we can only bring 3 men, 3 women.
Right.
And we qualified everyone on the team, 6 women and 5 men for the championship. And in our region in the West here, we had 5 women ranked top 6 in the region. So they were
Wow.
dominating all year. And even when Sydney and Novi, who were both on the podium, both raced NCAAs, when they were missing, when we went to Finland, we had a meet in Aspen, and our girls still won the meet, and they went 1, 2, 3 in one race. And it was just amazing performance all year. And the guys too. I mean, Sam Hendry, I think he was pretty much top 3 every race he competed this year. Luke Jagic came along and had an amazing race at NCAAs, finishing second. And Björn Riksåsen as a senior this year, I mean, he had his best year so far and was All-American in both races over there.
Let's talk about your Alpine group. They were a big part of it as well. You had 3 in the top 10 in the Giant Slalom. Unfortunately, a couple of races did not finish in the Slalom, but otherwise your margin of victory would have been even bigger on the final days. But just talk about your Alpine group and their part in your championship run.
Yeah, no, we have a very strong Alpine team, and it's NCAAs is tough. It's a total different deal when you go over there. During the regular season, you count the top 3 on your team, but you have 6 or sometimes 7 starting. So if somebody goes out, you have a backup and you can still score really good team points. But at the championship, you only bring 3 and everybody counts. So when Nordic does so well and we're in the lead, it puts even more pressure on our Alpine skiers, and they have to get down to score any points. If they ski out, if anything can happen, they score 0. So for them knowing that, they can try to hold back a little bit. But you're talking about holding back, maybe skiing a second slower in a 50-second race.
Right.
It's not easy to do. You hold back a little too much, you change the way you ski, and then you can hook a gate because of that. I mean, they have speeds up to 40, 50 miles an hour sometimes.
Wow.
And to get around those gates and get down is very tough. So really, when you're in a team like ours, it makes it a lot harder for the Alpiners. Some of our competitors that ski for teams to maybe placing farther back at the championship, they can go for it. And for them, skiing out doesn't matter so much.
Right.
But for our guys, they have that added pressure, and they're very stressed out. I mean, some of them were basically crying the evening before the race because it's so much pressure on them, to get down, to just score enough points that we can win.
Yeah. Like you said, almost easier if you're behind on a team trying to catch up. You can kind of just let it go and happen. But for your guys, that second day of Alpine, that's when you had the issues. And again, it's hard to gear it back for guys at that level. But still, they were a big part of your championship run. Let's talk about Miles Havlick, a Utah alum. Been around the program a long time. He was named the RMISA Nordic Coach of the Year. So happy for him. What's made him so successful and such a big part of your program since you took over?
Yeah, I mean, I hired Miles for the program, and I knew about Miles since before when I was coaching in New Mexico. Obviously, he was a couple-time NCAA champion, and he skied 4 years for the Utes. He was really broke through already as a freshman for the Utes.
Yeah.
And then he went to Norway for a couple of years and studied over there. And he also competed himself a little bit professionally after he was done with college. And so I knew quite a bit about him, and he had very good recommendations as far as being a coach and how he would perform as a coach. And my background is also in Nordic, so I work daily with Miles out there on the competitions, and also daily for training. But he's done just an amazing job. I mean, he sets up the training program, so it takes a huge load off me because I'm used to having to run the Nordic program myself, and Miles now taking on a lot of that is just incredible. And he's good at pretty much everything in Nordic. He's very good at putting together programs. He communicates well with the athletes, and he's very good to unvaxing skis and testing. So we work very well together. I think that's what really helps to make the Nordic team so strong. So Miles is a huge asset for sure. You
guys have been a great combination. Again, Nordic has been strong the entire time you've been here. This is your 3rd year. Let's talk about just the struggles of this year, the COVID-19 protocols and testing. You go to championships, and if you have some tests that come positive, you got to have some people sit out, and then there's contact tracing. It could have been disastrous had some things gone against you in terms of testing, but you survived that. You got through the year in good shape, no major issues. To deal with everything you did deal with, plus win in the end, with all the pressure being the team to beat all year long, how satisfying was it to put your hands on that trophy at the end of the championships back in March?
Oh, I mean, that was quite a relief, I would say.
Yeah.
You're almost like you're happy it's over when you're done, because we went from October through March, traveling, going to training camp, skiing, going to competitions. And we didn't have a single positive case on our team, on the athletes or the coaches throughout all those months of skiing, traveling, competing. And it was very stressful. Yeah, they came to NCAAs, and the first thing you do the morning after you get there, everybody's tested.
Yep.
Right away. And if one person is positive, you lose the championship. I mean, you probably have 3 or 4 out, even though we try to split them up as much as we can on the airplane ride, on the rental cars,
all that,
the hotel room.
But it's impossible.
Yeah, you're always going to have some connections,
Yep.
and to not, be closer than 6 feet for 15 minutes with a teammate is pretty tough to do during a long trip. But, so, even that first day, we actually had a false positive on one of our coaches.
Oh, wow.
And so you take the rapid test and one person came out positive.
Oh.
And just the stress on the team and the coaches having to wait almost an hour for the regular test to come back, and that was negative. So it was all good in the end, but just that stress, knowing that if that stayed positive, you'd be done pretty much. And then testing every morning before you can go ski, the day before every competition, you had to test everyone on the team. So to pull it off and win it, that was just amazing feeling and incredible work by the athletes and the coaches this year.
Well, a great run by your team again. It could be 3-3 for you. Had last year's championships in 2020, been allowed to finish. Let's look ahead quickly to next year in terms of people coming back. It might be early, but how's the squad look for next year in 2022?
It's looking good again. I mean, it's always a new year. We lose a few on the Nordic side, lose 2 of the women and 1 of the men. On the Nordic side, we lose a couple of people on the Alpine side, but the majority of the team coming back. And I think pretty much everyone that went to NCAAs are coming back, so that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's a good place to start.
Over there, so that's great.
Yeah.
And then we've been recruiting all year, and we got some good recruits coming in that hopefully can challenge for spots for next year. And then in 2022 it's here in Utah, so we have NCAAs in Park City and Soldier Hollow. So we're hoping, of course, to win another one.
Well, sounds great. You'll be on your home snow to do it and have a chance to do it. So, hey, again, great start. 3 years for you, 2 titles and 2 chances, and thanks for joining us.
For more on Utah athletics, including up-to-date schedules and ticket information, log on to utahutes.com. Now back to more of Utes Insider presented by Pepsi.
And our thanks once again to Utah Director of Skiing Fredrik Landstedt for dropping by the show. We talked about Utah's title run. Some numbers just to put that into focus, what they did. In addition to Sydney Palmer-Legger's 2 titles, the women's Nordic team captured 5 of the 6 podium spots in the 2 races. The men's Nordic team placed 3 in the top 5 at the 10K. Between Nordic and Alpine combined, Utah with 9 podium finishes, 16 All-Americans. Utah with 554 points that put them over second place Colorado by 31.5 points. It was a dominant performance at Nationals, and you look at Fredrik's career, he's won everywhere he's been. Going back to his days as a coach at Colorado, they won the championship in 1995. He then spent 11 years at New Mexico. They won the championship in 2004. And off to a great start here. 2 titles and 2 chances for Fredrik Landstedt. Well, coming up later this week, we will have our April Here from Harlem podcast with Utah AD Mark Carlin. Also on next week's Utes Insider, gymnast Miley O'Keefe, who won 2 titles individually on bars and floor nationals, will join us. That's our show for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Lageschulte. Until next time, so long, everybody.
This has been Utes Insider presented by Pepsi. To hear more episodes of this show and other Utah athletics podcasts, search for them on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.